Oh, it froze.
Here we go. Okay.
All right. It started with the little details for Great Uncle Dom. Where he left his keys, what he was looking for when he walked into the other room, and even his anniversary with Aunt Mary Ellen. These little slips of memory were nothing out of the ordinary, even for most people, especially someone his age. But unlike most people, it didn't stop there for Uncle Dom. He lost his memory in reverse. He forgot my youngest cousin Violet first. She was 4 at the time and never quite understood why he didn't greet her with a hug and a kiss and instead spent his time asking who she was. Then he lost his most recent address, something that was incredibly frustrating for Aunt Mary Ellen and resulted in a full-time care nurse to make sure he didn't wander off to the old family's home. When he lost his memory of me, I caught a lucky break. I looked a lot like his little sister, my grandmother, Lucia, and he called me Lucy until the day that I last saw him. The rest of my knowledge of Uncle Dom comes from Aunt Mary Ellen. At some point, she just simply couldn't take it anymore and had to commit him to full-time care. For her, the hardest part was the fact that he'd gone back to before they were even married. He'd forgotten who she was and started calling her by his old girlfriend's name. He died in that home, unable to recognize any of his visitors. Uncle Dom had Alzheimer's for 6 years before it finally claimed his life. In order to understand what happened to my loved one and what happens to so many loved ones, we must look at what we think causes it, what the exact symptoms are, and even any possible remedies. Researchers know more about who is at risk for Alzheimer's than what actually causes it. As people age, they are more likely to develop Alzheimer's, but it is in no way part of the normal aging process. Like many diseases that plague the elderly, some people get it and some just simply don't. Other things, such as being female, having high blood pressure, or any history of head trauma in the family, can help develop Alzheimer's. There are 2 types of Alzheimer's: early onset AD, those who are diagnosed under 60, and late onset, those who are diagnosed after 60. Those who are diagnosed after 60 tend to have the risk factors that I previously mentioned. There's some kind of genetic pattern, but researchers honestly don't know what it is. Early onset represents less than 5% of the known cases of regular Alzheimer's. Some of these cases have no known cause, but most of them have inherited the disease from a family member. According to the Alzheimer's Association, familiar Alzheimer's disease is caused by any one of a number of different single-gene mutations on chromosomes 21, 14, and 1. Each of these mutations causes abnormal proteins to be formed. Mutations on chromosome 21 cause the formation of abnormal amyloid precursor proteins, APP. A mutation on chromosome 14 causes abnormal presenilin 1 to be made, and a mutation on chromosome 1 leads to abnormal presenilin 2. It is known these mutations cause a breakdown of the protein APP, and that people that tend to have Alzheimer's tend to have the breakdown of APP. But other than that, no one really knows what the direct correlation is. Late onset Alzheimer's is even less understood than early onset. It is thought to be caused by genetics, environment, and lifestyle choices. So basically the decisions we make every day as young people determine whether we get Alzheimer's as we age. The single gene mutation that causes early onset Alzheimer's seems to have no cause in late onset. So just because you have the same mutations as early onset Alzheimer's patients does not mean you're going to have late Alzheimer's. The APOE gene does not seem to have any effect on the disease. According to the National Institute on Aging, APOE is present in about 25 to 30% of the population and in about 40% of all people with late onset Alzheimer's. People who develop Alzheimer's are more likely to have APOE allele than people who do not develop the disease. So basically, 30% of the healthy population have this mutation, and 40% of the afflicted population have a mutation. So we're talking about a 10% difference that changes everything for these people. Even if this is an actual cause, no one really understands what happens. Now for what happens to people that actually develop Alzheimer's. According to the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, mild cognitive impairment is a stage between normal forgetfulness due to aging and the development of Alzheimer's. This can make it hard to diagnose Alzheimer's before the patient starts to really feel the actual effects, before they start to lose their memory and develop the symptoms. Mild cognitive impairment in the beginning stages of AD have been specifically differentiated as follows. Symptoms of MCI include difficulty performing more than one task at a time, difficulty solving problems, forgetting recent events and late events. The early symptoms of AD can include difficulty performing tasks, same as MCI, but things that used to come easily, like balancing a checkbook, is almost impossible for them. Learning new information, routines, getting lost on familiar routes, language problems, and losing interest in things that they previously enjoyed are all symptoms of Alzheimer's. So as you can tell, if it's a symptom of MCI, it also seems to be a symptom of Alzheimer's. That's why it's so hard for people to tell a difference between normal aging and the actual disease. After this stage, Alzheimer's is no longer hard to recognize, though. People encounter symptoms that affect almost all aspects of their life. They experience a change in sleep patterns. Some have delusions, depression. Most people have difficulty performing basic tasks like driving, cooking, doing laundry, balancing a checkbook, the same things that we do every day. They have difficulty reading and writing, forgetting about current past events, hallucinations, and even violent behavior. As it gets worse, they lose their ability to understand any language, to recognize any loved ones, or even eat. As the symptoms of Alzheimer's progress, they tend to go from affecting just the patient to the patient's loved ones as well. At this point in time, there's no known cure. There are many different organizations to raise money and search for a cure, the leading being Alzheimer's Association, who just so happened to have made June Alzheimer's Awareness Month. At this point, the goals of treatment are, according to Alzheimer's.gov, slowing the progression of the disease, although this is nearly impossible to do, managing symptoms such as behavior problems, confusion, and sleep problems, changing your home environment so you can better perform daily activities, and supporting family members and other caregivers. So all we can really do is try to ease the suffering of not only the patients but also their family by just helping out with the patients and giving them extra care. There are also medicinal options for people affected with Alzheimer's, but in reality they don't really slow the progression. WebMD recommends other treatment options, such as something to control aggressive or agitated or dangerous behaviors. So they can't slow the process, but they can ease the difficulties that everyone is having. Examples include haloperidol, risperidone, and quetiapine. These are usually given in low doses due to the unfortunate side effect of death. Even with medical help, people live anywhere from 3 to 20 years with the disease. By the end of a patient's life, he or she is totally disabled and usually die from some kind of complication, infection, or organ failure. According to the Mayo Clinic, every 67 seconds, someone in the United States develops Alzheimer's, and it's said to be the 6th leading cause of death. So why is it that we know so little about the disease? Everything that has been discovered about Alzheimer's involves correlation, but causation is mostly unknown. And every treatment option, it just involves making death more comfortable. When it comes to prevention, different sources said completely different things. Some sources said increase fat or increase carbs, and some said to decrease fat and decrease carbs. But most sources agreed on regular exercise, a healthy diet, mental stimulation, sleep, less stress, and an active social life. So basically things that we should have already been doing to maintain a healthy lifestyle. When it comes down to it, we know basically nothing. No cause, no cure, and no way to prevent it. Although Alzheimer's kills 500,000 people a year. Are there any questions?
Okay. So there's really no way to prevent it at all, but like you said, it's like the choices that you make now. So what do we need to do now, like to increase our chances of not getting it?
Well, that's the thing, is that no one really agrees on it. Most people literally just say to be healthy, which is kind of a blanket term. Yeah, like just be healthy. Sometimes it's caused by genetics, sometimes it's caused by lifestyle choices. They have no idea when it happens and when it doesn't happen. That's basically it.
Is there a way to tell, like, if you have it, like if it's just normal aging, or if you actually have Alzheimer's? Is there like tests that they can do to see?
No, there's no like medical test, but you can go to a doctor and basically it's up to the doctor. If the doctor thinks that you're just aging, then you don't have Alzheimer's. But if they're like, you should be able to do this, at 70 you should be able to find your keys or be able to recognize your loved ones, then you have Alzheimer's.